All right, welcome everybody to week 8, day 1. We're going to do kind of a shorter day today because of the book reports. The topic for today is going to be level design. So level design is one of those really big, complicated topics that, like most things in this class, I'm going to reduce down to a very short lecture. Just be aware you could work your entire game career doing level design and mastering the art of level design, and there's a lot to it. I'm just going to kind of give you the 15-minute lecture today with a focus on team-based shooters, which is what I'm mostly familiar with, having spent most of my time in game dev doing that. It's obviously going to be different for like a Breath of the Wild Zelda game or something like that. So the thing about level design is that a lot of people try to make levels accurate. Like they try to I know that when I was in college, I'd walk around my school building and be like, what would it be like, if you could just grab a gun and run around shooting inside. You can't do that these days. You get in trouble for that. But back in the day, I'd be like, I could recreate this cool building here, in a video game, and it'd be fun to you can't really do that anymore. It's kind of frowned upon nowadays to do that. But there were some really cool buildings on my campus, then I'm like, this would make a really cool level. And a lot of people want to sort of recreate things accurately in a video game, and it's usually just not a good idea, right? Because I have actually created some buildings just for my own personal amusement, not released. I'm not advocating school shooting. But look at this building, right? This is a cool building, right? This is my school's library. Don't you look at that and just be like, that'd be kind of fun to model, in a video game. So on a watch list now. Yeah. Should I call the police? yeah. Let's be honest. Who didn't think about that? That would be fun to do in a video game. So let's say it's a non-violent first-person shooter where you throw cream pies at each other. Like Vanellope, Von Sweets. You're throwing chocolate at each other. It's very non-violent, game. But it would be cool to put into a world. So Nerf guns, exactly. That'd be a great map for a Quake game. That's what I'm saying, right? You look at that and there's some cool levels, look at this, it's there's some pretty cool architecture at my school, and turn that into a game. So anyway, oftentimes though, making things directly in a game is not great, because buildings in real life were designed for real people, and video games have different needs. So I'm trying to build a castle and I hate it. How about I'll code everything fine with cubes and somebody else can build the design? Yeah, so I'll get to that. All right. So the thing about game design and map design is that you have to really understand the purpose first, right? So you should always be coming at the design of a map from the idea of not I'm going to recreate something in real life and just walk around it and throw chocolates at each other or whatever. But you have to understand the purpose of it. So if you're going to be doing capture the flag or something like that, then all of the design of your level has to stem from the fact there's going to be two flags and two teams kind of going into each other's spaces, stealing the flag and bringing it back. Everything kind of comes from there, right? You have to start with your purpose in mind first. And usually what I'll do when I'm sketching out a level is I'll usually have some sort of idea. I'm going to be making a Titanic capture the flag map, or there's two pirate ships, and each pirate ship has a flag on the top of the crow's nest, which seems like a really bad place to put a flag, actually. Everyone will just shoot you. So that's a bad idea. You have a flag down in the hold somewhere, and so you have to board the other pirate ship. I'm actually kind of liking this idea. I think I'll do it. But so let's go with that idea. So let's say that we're going to make a 2-team capture the flag map, standard first-person shooter, where you've got guns and grappling hooks that you can flying around and things like that. So you can swing from ship to ship things like that. So, we'll call this level design, right? And so, the basic idea, and I'll just like sketch it out. It's like, all right, I'm going to start off with like a boat here and a boat here, and then all this is just going to be water. You know what I mean? And then I'm going to just sit there and think about that and be like, is that going to be fun? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's going to be fun or not, because a lot of water kind of sucks. So like, what if you fall into the water, you die? That's not very fun. And if you require people to like grappling hook over, then you're just in midair and you're going to get shot like crazy. So maybe not just this. Maybe you could have. Do people design mock-ups or wireframes? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they do. And so they start with something like this usually, like just a couple shapes on a whiteboard, and then people look at it and be like, all right, like let's just take Halo for example, right? So in Halo, if you were to like just grappling hook through the air, like I don't know, let's say these things are like, let's say these guys are like, I don't know, 30 yards apart, right? That's quite a big way to travel with no cover. Like what's going to happen is that somebody's going to try jumping across, and then everybody on the other side is going to be sitting there like hiding behind like the barrels and things, and they're just going to shoot that person from every angle, and the person's going to explode, right? And so you sit there and go like, all right, this isn't a great design right now, but like maybe let's make this work because pirates are cool, right? It's sea shanty night tonight, right? Pirates didn't sing sea shanties, but who cares? It's fun. So, and that's what games are about. They're about fun. So like you'd sit there and think about it, like, okay, how can we like make this work? Okay, well, what if the ships have like an underwater like cargo bay or something like that? Like maybe they have a little ramp that heads into the water, and maybe it's on both sides, right? And so if you wanted a fast way across the water, you could swim from like here to here, and then in order for people to shoot you, they would have to be standing like on the edge of the map to be shooting down at you. And if they're standing on the edge, then they're getting shot by people over there. Now it's more interesting, right? So, maybe there's a fast way across. And then if they are like really, just blocking the edge here, then maybe there's a slow way across where like, you can swim out the back and then you can go underwater a ways and go underwater a really long way, and then come up into the hold of the ship down there. That could be fun. That's approaching something that I would consider to be good level design. And why does it keep showing an hourglass? I'm not doing anything. Okay, maybe we add a second one on each side. That allows us to avoid the choke point problem. Why is this thing flipping out? It keeps showing the hourglass. The choke point problem is that if you have like team A over here and team B over here, and there is a single doorway between them, then what happens is that everybody on defense on team B will stack up behind. This thing is like flipping out. I don't know what's going on with it. And everyone's going to stack up behind the door, and they're just going to shoot everybody coming through that door. And everybody coming through that door is going to die. And now it's going to relaunch this. I don't know what's going on with it. Okay. So do you guys understand? So basically, if you have a choke point, then it's good for defense. Choke point is good for defense, and it is bad for offense. Right. So when you're sketching these things out, that's the kind of thing you have to think about. Choke points, and then there's open areas. Open areas are also good for defense and bad for offense, because the offense has to move across the open area, right? And so the defense can hide behind cover and shoot at the people moving through the open. And so what is good for offense? Well, so what you want to do is balance a map so that it's not entirely defensive and it's not entirely offensive. And so what you can do on offense is you can do things like, if you're doing Halo, you can do like a launch pad, where it flings you across the map at high speed. It's very hard to shoot somebody who's moving at 900 miles an hour. So launch pads, especially if they take you into the enemy base where the flag is, let's say American flag, there you go. That's good on offense. And you get the flag and there's a launch pad and you fly back. It allows you to capture quite quickly. Launch pads are good on offense and they're bad on defense. Bad for defense, I should say. Launchpad. What other things? Alternate routes. Yep. And so the more routes you have in a map, the harder it is for the defense to defend against them, because they got to be constantly watching all the different doorways. So what I had before with one door in the front, one door in the back down at the water line, a defender could stand down there in the hole and kind of like watch both doors. If there's 4 of them, especially if you like break up the underwater area, then you're going to have one defender over here, one defender over here, watching both, and maybe you need like somebody watching the front and the back and the front and the back, and it gets too difficult to defend. The more alternate routes, the more the defense has to split itself, and the more the defense splits itself, then an offense, especially if you're moving in a group of like 3 or 4 people, the 3 or 4 people kill the one defender, and then they move on and kill the one defender, and things like that. So the more alternative routes you have, the better it is for the offense. Big open areas, especially if you have sniper rifles and things like that, make it really hard to do offense, because you're just kind of like walking across the plains, and then a bullet comes out from 2 miles away and pops you in the head, and you die, and you have to respawn and start over. So these are things that have to be balanced, right? Yeah, it's a very iterative process. You start off with something simple, like let's do pirate ships. You sketch it out, and you sit there and you look at it. You're like, okay, swinging across is not going to work. It's too defensive. All right, we'll add in some routes down here. Okay, that's probably not enough. Let's add in more alternative routes. Okay, now let's talk about launch pads. Maybe we can have like a rope system or something like that. That's like a launch pad that'll like take you from point A to point B very quickly. So you just like swing over, and it's also very thematic, right? Theme also matters a lot. On a pirate map, I would want to have the ability to swash my buckles. You know, I'm going to want to be able to grab onto a rope and swing across and feel like a pirate. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to go in the crow's nest. And, you know, we're going to need some sort of like crow's nest up top here. And I'm going to need to be able to get up there somehow. I'm going to need some sort of ladder system getting up there. I want to be able to sit up there, and I want to be able to snipe people from the crow's nest, right? And that's, you know, that's important too. You know, so anytime you have a theme, you want the theme to reflect the mechanics and have it not be broken, but at the same time, like, people come into things with a certain expectation, and you have to meet those expectations in a map. So if you're going to have some sort of like, I don't know, industrial factory line, assembly line kind of map, at some point in it, there should be some conveyor belts, and the conveyor belts should have crusher thingies on them, or like flaming thingies, or spiky. You guys know what I mean? Like, if there's some sort of like factory assembly line thing, there's going to have to be crushers and things like that in it. It's just expected. Okay. If it's in a chemical plant, there should be vats of acid that you can fall into, right? Or even better, you can knock people into, and that's fun too. People get mad when they instantly die most of the time, but if there's a big, you know, container of acid and somebody like pushes you into it and you die, you're like, I died in the acid, and it makes sense. And then they don't get mad instant. Like, normally if you just mark part of your map as like, you die if you go in there, and people go in there and they die, they get mad at you. But if it's thematic, they're like, I got pushed in the lava, you know, that sucks, you know. Or if you're doing a Grand Canyon map, you know, and somebody knocks you off the cliff into the Grand Canyon, you die instantly. Nobody questions that. Okay. And so theme ties into like your starting point. It ties into the mechanics you have. And then after you kind of sketch this thing out, right? And you sit there, and it's iterative. Like I said, you go over this over and over again. You start with just 2 ships, then you add things, you iterate on it. And you have lots of people staring at the whiteboard, you know. Then somebody will be like, all right, sketch out the flow of the map. And, you know, I'm saying as if there's only one way to make maps. There's not. You know, I had friends that were professional map makers, and I've seen videos on like how, you know, the Halo developers make their maps and things like that. There's no one way, right? I'm just kind of giving you an example, right? So what they'll do is something like this. Like they'll sketch out the flow of a map. So you got your pirate ship, and I'm making it a little bigger now. Okay. And there's going to be like 2 levels, maybe, just because I don't want to draw more than 2 levels. In reality, you might have 3, which probably would make more sense. And so like you have the second level here, that's the top deck. And, you know, you probably want to have some railings there, provide a little bit of cover. And you probably want to have some boxes here. You want to have the mast, and the mast goes up to the, gotta have sails, of course, and probably got braces coming off and yard arms and all that kind of stuff. And the crow's nest is like over here somewhere. And you gotta have the forecastle, of course. You know, forecastle, like some stairs going up to the forecastle, and then you gotta have the big ship's wheel, right? You gotta have the big ship's wheel back here, and you gotta have barrels and things like that. It's a ship, right? So you kind of sketch out the top floor, and then you can do the same over here if you want. And then yeah, let me actually add a third. I'm just gonna say these are mirrored, So I will do this. And then on the bottom level, I'm going to have like that aquatic ramp, kind of like heading down into the water. And maybe I'm going to have one in the front and two in the back. Maybe that might be interesting. Because then, if you want to quickly get to the other side, you can do that, but you're going to be exposing yourself to enemy fire. That might be a good trade-off. And yeah, these people could go and then and it's doing that weird hourglass thing. I don't know what's going on there. And then these people could like swim underneath the water. Okay. And then it's going to be mirrored on the other side. I'm just going to draw the bottom thing down here. And then the back side over here. Okay. So the flow. So the flag, let's say, is going to be in the center part of the middle deck. So second floor, first floor, and 0th floor, I guess. And so the flow is how people move through the map. So there's going to have to be, like I just realized I don't have any ways down between these decks here, right? So I'm probably going to have like a hatch. There's always like a hatch. And so what you're going to sketch out actually is the ways that you can move, like from here to here, right? And then probably down here, we're probably going to have a couple cabins, because you should always have cabins in the thing. And maybe over here, you have like a stairway down, and then that would go over to this area here, where there would otherwise be an entrance. And so this area would have a stairway up here. This is a one-way connection. This, I don't know. When I get inspired, I'll think of something to put here. Maybe a jail. And there could be like prisoners in here or something. I don't know. And you can free the prisoners. I don't know. And then there's the flag, and then there's way down, there's a way up. And then what you can do is you can kind of visualize, like, okay, so if I'm a defender, I might have my defense like hiding in these things over here, and kind of looking at the flag, and then when people come in to try and get it, we'll shoot them. The caves in OG Pokemon, yeah, or the conveyor belts, right? In the Team Rocket headquarters, which are absolutely aggravating. So looking at this, there's only 2 ways into the flag area, which is maybe okay. It's maybe okay. As choke points go, it's not too bad. Coming up here, there's only one place you can kind of hide to shoot at these people. And these people can like drop down here. But if they drop down here, the only way out is this way. So probably want to add like a ladder or something like this to come back up this way. Or maybe into the forecastle. That might be even better. It's like maybe up over here, and there's like a ladder going down that way. So that way you can drop down, grab the flag, and then if you want to go up, you're going to be vulnerable as you're climbing the ladder, or you can like throw yourself down the stairs. That seems more interesting. Then the defense can always be pointed kind of in this direction, but occasionally people are going to be dropping on top of your head. So that seems to me like an interesting flow. Do you guys understand what I mean by flow? Like people are going to be constantly spawning on the map. Like there's probably spawn points you can put around here. Maybe the cabins are good spawn. Nah, I don't know if they're good spawn points, because you're spawning right on top of your flag, which is very good for defense. If you respawn on top of your flag every time you die, it's like never-ending defense. So probably the spawn points would be maybe over here in the forecastle or something, right? And then you have to like run down if you're gonna help protect the flag. And so like people can like get onto this boat by swimming 3 different ways. They could grapple on board, and then maybe there's a launch pad that'll like take people like all the way over here to like here. And then you can kind of look at the flow through the map. Like imagine it like water. Okay. So cannonballs, yeah, we need cannonballs for sure. In fact, there could be cannons over here. That seems cool. That could be like a cannon deck, right? Some like stacked cannonballs and stuff like that. That might give the people coming up a little bit of cover, you know. Have like some stacked cannonballs around here. Yeah, that makes it a little more interesting. Everything's thematic, right? And then the area down here could have like different, be like a little maze of kind of things, so you can like, you know, hide, and there's like crates and things like that. So like maybe you get on board the enemy ship, and then like you want to like hide behind a barrel until one of your teammates gets on board, and you like go up together, stuff like that. And then, you know, people are probably going to be grabbing the flag and then dropping down here, and then they can go the long way out, or they can go the fast way out. And so defense might probably, you know, use that as a choke point, that as a choke point. So seems reasonable. You never want there to be only one way, because everybody then just focuses on that one spot. And so if they could like drop down and very quickly dip that way, then holding that as a choke point is not great. But if they hold this as a choke point, they might run under fire at least to here, then get out. Seems fine. And the offense could probably throw some grenades down here and cover their exit. All right, Sierra. So that's kind of like the beginning process, right? And people will be like, all right, well, what about, you know, like what about the spawn points? What about, you know, when you kill somebody, how long does it take to come back? When you kill somebody carrying the flag, how do you return the flag? Do you stand the flag to return it? Does it return automatically after 30 seconds? Hug stairs. That's funny. You know, are there power-ups on the map? You know, maybe the cabins over here have power-ups, so that's going to make defense stronger. So maybe there's a power-up in the crow's nest up here. I don't know. You know, like you have to think about those things. Maybe there's power-ups like in these crates down here, and like if people run around breaking the crates, maybe they get a, you know, power-up. And so those are all the kinds of things. You just iterate and you iterate and you iterate. Then what you do is you do what Megan says, and you hand it off to somebody else, right? No, you are the person that's being handed off to. So where is that? There we go. And so brief speed boost, yeah, brief attack boost, yeah, things like that. So like the people, like if you let them cluster in your basement and all the power ups spawn, then they're gonna go and get beefed to hell, and then they can run up the stairs and defeat you because they've got speed and attack boosts. Like that's actually good design, Megan. I like that. So you can't just allow pirates to be in your ship. You know, you got to actively, like, oh, they're down in the hold. You got to go down there and clear those pirates off your ship. You know, otherwise they're going to become too powerful and overpower the rest of the ship. So yeah, that's good. It's good design. Okay, so then what you do is you white box and gray box your maps, and so you don't do a full white thing. What you do is let's see if I can find an area where I'd want to put some pirate ships. Maybe right here. Here looks like a good place. Okay, so I'm gonna landscape. Brush size bigger. Just gonna depress this land a little bit. Tool strength a little stronger. I'm just gonna make a little depression in here, and I'm probably gonna use the water tool. It's probably a little bit too deep. Smooth. Just make a little depression here. Nothing a little Prozac can't fix. Yeah. Just make a little depression here. Just having a bad day. A little bit of depression. Okay. And this is too small, actually. Melt some of that away over there. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to start doing something called white boxing, gray boxing, where what you do is you just, rather than do it like a finished product, what you do is you just literally do like what the name sounds, and you just put boxes out. So just scale it up, right? So I'm going to start off by just like being like, you are a pirate ship, you know? In fact, I might even use a brush for that. Geometry, box, and I'm going to just make you roughly pirate ship size. Maybe a little longer here. too tall. And so what you do is you just create these like really crude boxes, right? And then what that allows you to do is it allows you to actually play inside of the level, right? And get a feel for it. And so like, you know, you have an idea of like, there's gonna be a ledge and you're like in a shopping mall and there's a thing, you can jump down. And then when you actually play inside of it, it's just all white or gray. You're like, oh yeah, that doesn't really work very well. Yeah, there's no reason why somebody would jump down there, right? And then you redo it while it's still cheap for you to redo it. You know what I mean? So the whole point of this is that you're not making big expensive, you know, investments in time, right? Like what you're doing is you're just like, all right, you know, slap some boxes around and, you know, put them here and here and this here and, you know, see how it goes. And so maybe I'll throw a plane over here, throw a plane down here, and just you know, scale you out to like 20 meters by 20 meters. This will be my water. Make more room. Smooth everything out here so it's like a nice little bowl shape so that it doesn't so you don't get stuck, you know. It's all going to be underwater anyway. So I'm just kind of roughing something out, you know. Doesn't, again, this isn't your final product, this is your rough draft, right? There we go. Okay. And so shift 1 to go back into select mode, select you, and we will lock the things and make it 40 by 40, 60 by 60, 80 by 80, and there we go. We got some water now. And we'll turn off collision. Collision presets, no collision. And you would think I'm going to put water on it, but I'm not. I'm just gray boxing right now. You know what I mean? So here's our pirate ship, and I'm just going to like have it be there. Bring it out onto the lake a little bit. And this is good enough for like one ship, you know what I mean? And so I can come over here, and then it'll kind of also give me a feel of like, is this about the right size for a ship? It looks a little big. This feels like it's a little bit on the big side. Yeah. What do you guys think? Shrink it down. Jumped in, you're like, wow, I had to change your swim speed. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was really impressed with your water too. This looks about right. Okay, so then I'm just going to come in to geometry here, and then I'm going to start carving into it, right? So I'm going to take a box and drag that out to here, and just kind of like intersect it here. And then I'm going to switch it to subtractive. And now there's a doorway into my pirate ship. Right? That. I can add some stairs like right there. Let me turn off the water. Water. Visible false. There we go. Okay. And where do my staircase go? Again, not putting any materials on it, not putting any textures, not doing anything fancy. We're just roughing it out, right? And the goal of this is you iterate always on these things. And you just see like, how does it feel? How does the game feel? How does it play? And then I'm going to need to carve out an inner space here. So I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to duplicate. And I'm going to move inwards. So make it a little quarter, right? Actually, I don't need to duplicate it like that. I could just delete you and select you, and I can just make you a little bit deeper. Punch it in a little more. And there we go. And then I can now duplicate it, and from a top-down perspective, I'm going to scale this bad boy up a lot. Scale it wider. So what I'm doing is I'm actually hollowing out the ship. So this is a subtractive brush. And subtractive brushes delete geometry wherever they're found. And so there we have the lower level. And it's just a little bit too, there's not enough headroom in there. So it's just a little taller. Push it up a little bit. And, oh no, like I've got a centimeter of a lip here. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, you know, before you release your product, you're going to like come in and like fix all this kind of stuff. But you're just kind of like knocking something out real fast. Just see if it works. Okay. So we got that. And then let's duplicate, pull it up to the top. Oops. Duplicate, pull it up to the top. And there we have the top deck. Down a little bit more. Might be a little too tall now. Okay, so we got the top of a pirate ship with some railings. So you guys kind of see what I'm getting at here? So you can just very quickly just block out things. Then we'll want to have a hatch coming down. So scale up. I'm going to take it back down to 1 meter cubed, and the hatch would be right around there. And again, I'd want to have like a raised area and stairways and all this kind of stuff, and I want to have a mast and all that kind of stuff. I'm just really doing this quickly, and I will make it more tall. So this is going to be our way down to the second floor. And maybe that's good. Might be a little tall. Bring it in a little bit. Okay. Duplicate. And 1 by 1 by 1. Again, I'm going to line it up about here. And make it about 20 long. Nope, not that way. 20 long that way. There we go. And a little too long. 15 long. 13 long. 10 long. Might be a little too long. It's not sticking out that side, so pull it right to the middle of the ship. And then I'm going to scale it until it pokes out, and then take it back 1 notch. So the reason why I'm doing that is so that we're going to create an underground area that doesn't connect to the outside area, right? The main thing is like what you're connected to, you know what I mean? I'll widen this out a little bit and widen it out. There. And we'll make it a little bit taller. So make it 2 meters tall. That took out the top deck, so slide it down a little bit. There we go. So the top deck's got this hatch that leads down to here. So we've got a second story area here, and then we'll want to probably put in some stairs or something down But that's the general idea. Okay, I don't think I need to keep belaboring the point, but basically you can add additive meshes like stairs, and then you can turn some of the meshes into subtractive meshes and carve things out with it. And then probably want to have some sort of swimming system. And then once I've done all this, I'll duplicate it over to the other ship. And yeah, that probably is. Yeah, the ship probably should not be open to the front and the back. So pull this in, because again, what it's all about is the connections you have. Oh, this is not centered. Really, it's about the connections you have, right? So right now we have no connection to the outdoors or anywhere, actually. It's quite claustrophobic. So we're going to widen it until it hits the outdoors. Too much. Okay, so that's pretty good. Yeah, it's right before the edge. And there we go. Okay, so now it's not open to the outside. So you can come in from the water entrance here, and then we could build like a stair going up to the second floor up here. Put the flag here. Put block some walls in for the jail or whatever it is we're trying to do. And at the end of the day, you're just gonna hit play, right? And you're gonna go sprint over there, yell R, and probably turn the water back on at some point. You're just gonna run around and just see how it feels. Okay, and so that's what your homework assignment is for Thursday. I want you to block out a capture the flag map. So gray box it. Just don't worry about materials on it. Don't worry about little things like this, which I would normally be like, no, it's unplayable. Can't accept that. Raise this up to negative 230. There, look at that. Now it's correct. Yeah. That's the kind of thing I normally worry about. But when you're just knocking something out, you just knock it out. And then you just run around in it and just start in one base, and then basically run through the level however you want to the other base. Go inside, grab the flag. You don't even have to have a flag. You put a flag in if you want, and then run back and just see how it feels. Okay. So we live different lives. That loop would cost me sleep. I know, me too. That's why we fixed it. I wasn't gonna let it stay there, but I'm trying to make a point that you don't have to if you don't want to. That's not the purpose of this exercise. Okay. Okay, you all understand? Like that's your goal. You don't have to use the geometry brush system for that. You can do it entirely just using the regular boxes and just stretch them out and things like that. I just find the constructed geometry to be really nice, just because you can do things like this where you just like carve a hole in something, And then last time we were talking about converting it to a static mesh, and I was looking at it online, and somewhere in there's a button where you can like convert it to a static mesh, and I don't know. So it's in there somewhere. Somewhere in there in general. Somewhere. You turn it into a static mesh. Okay. And so you use CSG to build things, or you can just use regular things like we did here, where we just took boxes and just stretched them into place. And so this building here, incidentally, would be like, that's a white box, like quite literally, right? That thing right there. The inside, that's too much detail for what we're talking about. Okay. So you guys all with me on this? Just leave it on the default texture. It's fine. That's not the point. Okay. The point is just to feel the flow of the map. And and then after you've white boxed it, you actually will play the game. Like, you'll get your weapons and go in there and play the level over and over again, because there's absolutely no point like putting like some cool special effect or some broken neon sign for a wall that gets deleted because it's like in the way or something, right? Like you add the detail after you've blocked everything out. So how do you make a ladder? Okay. I wouldn't make a ladder. I because it's like it's actually interesting because like when you attach to a ladder, it actually like clicks you onto a ladder, and then there's like an animation system where you go up. One way you can do it is by adding stairs, and you have the stairs just have a very high step height on them, and so you stretch the stairs up like this, and you just allow the player to walk up them. But yeah, actually, actual ladders actually require coding, right? If you're going to like attach to a ladder and then detach, and how that works is goofy. Like it's really goofy, and a lot of games handle it very badly. Where you like you're stuck to the ladder, you like hit jump, you know, and you're like, nope, I'm on the ladder. And you're like, I'm getting shot. Let me let go. And it's like, no, you must walk to the bottom and finish the climbing animation to let go, and then you're dead, right? You guys have all played games like this where like you just can't. Like the normal game turns off, and you're just like, so rather than doing a ladder, what I'd recommend is maybe adding in a moving platform, and I can show you guys how to do that. We got time. We got time. We've kind of covered what I wanted to cover, so we got time. So how could we add like a because right now I don't have a ladder going up the outside, right? So rather than doing that, how about I add just like a platform that just goes, you know, like in Mario Brothers or something like that. You know what I mean? You guys want to see how to do that? Or I could do like a jump pad or something like that. That could be fun too. Okay, so let's do that. So let's just go over to basic and shapes. There we go. We'll put in a cube. It's just like your regular static mesh because remember, brushes are kind of weird when it comes to blueprints. I don't think we can put them in. Well, I could be wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna make a little platform. You guys like that? Does that look platformy enough to you? Maybe it should be a little bigger. What do you think? Like that? What do you guys think? Is that an acceptable white box platform? What do you think? Want it bigger? I'll put it like right next to the pirate boat. I guess. Okay. No. All right, and we'll start it off like. And then it's gonna basically just do this, right? It's just gonna go up and down in a loop, basically infinitely. Okay, like you've all seen these a million times in video games. So, yeah, and maybe one day we'll replace it with like rigging, you know, and you know, there's a net off the side of the pirate ship that you can climb up. For now, whatever. Okay, so we are gonna convert this this platform into a blueprint. Right there. And we're just going to call this a moving platform blueprint. BP. And we're going to save it into the build directory or whatever your directory is called. And we're going to snap it up here. I guess we don't need zombies right now. Make it a little bit closer. So, what this thing is going to need, it's going to need, it's basically going to need 2 points in space. And what it's going to do, it's going to travel upwards until it hits the point in space above it, and then it's going to head downwards and hit that point in space. So, you could hard code it, which I don't recommend. You could do something like, you can make a variable. You can make a variable that's like the height that it goes up, and then you just always place it at the very bottom of where it would be, and then you could just like in the game, like I'm just looking at the coordinates over on the right hand side over there. So this is 11, 10, 23, and this is like negative 952, and you can do math, I guess, if you like doing math, and just you can have it done that way. Or you can do it the cooler way, which is like you actually create waypoints in the world and have it travel back and forth between the waypoints, which is kind of fun. Yeah, I don't know. Which way would I do it? Which way do you guys want to see it? The simple way or the slightly cooler way? Cooler way. All right. So let's see here. So there are these things called target points. And so it's kind of a way of like labeling space, right? So it's not like it appears in the world or anything, but it's a great way of like if you have a teleporter or something like that, then a lot of times I'll put out like a target point, and then that target point will be like the place I teleport to when I do a teleport. So I'm just gonna have it be like right around here. That looks about right. So there's a target point that I'm gonna hit Alt Shift, I think. There we go. And we duplicate it, and I'm gonna have this be the bottom location. Okay, so moving platform BP, I have a variable that is going to be variable. It's going to be like starting location, and its type is going to be a target point. Okay. Object reference, and then you will be the ending location. And it also will be a target point. Object reference. Yep. These are both going to be public variables, world instance editable variables. And I'm going to hit compile. I'm going to hit save. And what I'm going to do now, check this out. This is you wanted the more complicated way. It's not that complicated, but it is cool. I promise. So you can have blueprints interact with other blueprints via these like public variables. But you can also have them in the world over here. If I go back into the world and I click on my moving platform guy, you will see that there is now a variable right here called starting location and ending location. Target, exactly. Have you guys been to a Target like during the pandemic? Like, is it just me, or has Target like turned into like a post-apocalyptic like wasteland? Like, I tried buying shoes for my daughter a couple times, and they were just shoes, not in the shelves, on the floor, and just like the boxes are just like blah everywhere, and you're just like rummaging through the wasteland of like, you know, it's like you know, the zombie apocalypse is happening. You're trying to find shoes for your kid, and you're like, Ada, you take that side, I'll take this side, and you're like going through, you know, like, I don't know, is this your size, you know? And, oh man, do you guys know what I'm talking about, or is it just me? Because like trying to find clothes, there's just piles of clothes on the floor, and like, are those for sale, or are those the clothes that were there from the last people that were here and died? I don't know. Can I try them on? Sorry, no, there's nobody manning the changing booth. You just have to buy them. And when you come back, apparently you just leave them on the ground and get another pair. I don't know. And just shoplift. I don't know. So there's a guy that does a comedy skit about Ross. I don't know, like Target, like I have photographs on my phone, but there's just piles of clothes just on the floor, you know, and my daughter and I just like going through it like monkeys. Okay, anyway. So yeah, Target. There we go. That's why I got on that rant. We got our platform here. Our platform's cool stuff. And so we got a starting point, we got an ending point. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to set the starting point, and you can do it a couple different ways. This target point here, we can give it a cool name. We can call it like platform 1 start point, like that. And the other target could be like platform 1 end point. That's kind of cool. And then when we've got our platform here, what is our starting location? Because it's public, it appears in the world editor. And I can actually just come in here and choose platform 1 start point, and I can choose platform 1 end point. Or I can use the dropper tool. And if you click the eyedropper, then you can actually click on the target point and set it that way. And so if you have a bunch of waypoints in the world, you can just click on it, be like, that's the start, click, that's the end, and then it's going to move between them. Not yet. We haven't done anything yet. If I hit play, it's just going to stand there because it's just a box right now. So I only get things delivered or I pick them up. Yeah. It's, yeah. Yeah, especially, like, I don't even know what happened. Like, it's like there's employees there, like what happened? I don't know. So, okay. Okay, so now we need to be able to move back and forth between the starting point and the ending point. So come back over here. Let's go into our blueprints. And currently our blueprints do absolutely nothing. So if we hit play, you'd see nothing because it's not doing anything. So, okay, on begin play, we probably want to set our location to the location of the starting point. Makes sense to me. So I'm going to set world location. Add actor, no, not you. Maybe we'll have to pull you out. Set world location of the static mesh component. Sure, why not? Okay. And then the location is going to be the location of the starting location. So we're going to get the starting location, and we are going to get the world location of the sprite component, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of a weird network. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like you. Here. Align. Okay. All right. Line you up. Editor only. Never mind. Get. Is that editor only also? That's unfortunate. Let's try that. I don't know if that'll work. See, the target nodes actually oftentimes don't appearance. Q, you're all lined up. Get world location. Okay, let's see how this works. We'll see if this works. Okay, so we're gonna set the world location to that. Compile. All right, and then I'm gonna start with this guy like way up here. Then I'm gonna hit play, and then we'll see if it moved down. And it did not. Okay. So yeah, that's what I figured. Mobility, it can't move. Okay. All right. Good to know. Remember how I said you have to set these things movable? I'm just doing this to give you an example of what you should not do. You guys remember what I have to set over here in order for it to move? Anytime you see that error message about trying to move something movable, yeah, gotta set it to movable. Okay, compile, save, run, and let's see how this goes. There we go. So it has now moved down to the starting location. All right, cool. That's why I made it dramatic so that I could see that it moved. All right, so neat. So that is all working properly. Let's pull you over like that. And that I'll just screenshot for you all. Moving platforms is quite useful. It's a thing, and this works for like doors. Like if you have a door that like opens and closes regularly, this kind of stuff. Okay, so how do we do the movement? Well, one way you can do the movement is you can just give it a vertical velocity, right? And say when it reaches the ending component, flip the velocity. The trouble is though, like what if you never reach it? Like it could get blocked. There's what if it's off to the side so it never touches it? What if the starting and ending points are horizontal instead of vertical? There's a lot of different ways I can think of to do this. I'm going to show you lerping though. We've talked about lerping before, right? Megan, you said you used to go lerping. All right. So event tick. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to lerp between the location of the starting location and the location of the ending location. Which, yeah. Probably should call it starting point and ending point. Starting point and the ending point. We're going to get the location of the point separately. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is... I'm actually just going to get their locations and save those. I don't think we actually need these variables beyond this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to promote this to a variable here. And you are going to be a variable called starting location. And then that will be the starting location there. And we're just going to wire this up like this. And then we will do the same thing for the ending point. So I'll try out the ending point. And we will get world location. Why is it? I'm just going to duplicate this. And Q, so everything's lined up. And line them up vertically. And there we go. Right click, promote to variable. And you are going to be called the ending location. So what I'm doing is I'm just saving the point in space. That way we don't have to constantly be grabbing the location of the starting point and the ending point. We're just going to, when we start off, we just get their starting and ending point. And so what's nice about that is, the line's like right in the middle. What's nice about that, there we go. Redirect node. There. Nope, I don't want. Nope, I don't want to comment. I don't want to comment. Thank you. Okay. Just redirecting it around. So, so basically, we actually don't need to do anything with the target points themselves. All we're doing is we're getting their locations. And the reason why we're doing this is so that whoever it is that is editing our map, they can just drag these points out. And as they move them around, the platform will move between them. So it's a really nice system. One of the ways that I was going to show you earlier was that you just have a variable for how high up you move. But that's pretty limiting because then you can only move vertically. And every time you adjust the size of the pirate ship, you have to go in there and edit the blueprint, which is, or the variable in the blueprint, which is really annoying. So this way, basically, whoever it is that's doing your map editing, which is oftentimes not the programmer, right? Like I had friends who professional map makers. They couldn't really program. They could do little scripting things, but like they weren't programmers. But you could tell them like, hey, just put out a couple target points and then dropper it to choose the starting ending location. The thing will move between it, and they'd be like, gotcha, no problem. And then if they ever wanted to like move where the platform, started, they could just like kind of move it around like that or whatever, right? So without having to code anything, which is nice. Okay, so now we actually need to do the animation. So what we're going to do is we are going to lerp. We are going to have we should probably have, we should probably have a variable for how long it takes to move between the two of them, right? So like, it takes 5 seconds or whatever to go between the two. Or, yeah, let's do it that way. So we're going to make time to move, and you are going to be a flute. And you're going to be publicly editable again so that our artists and stuff can do this. And so that'll be 5. Okay. So, so every tick, let's make one more. Current point, current movement, current time. I don't know. I don't have a good name for you here. Okay. So what we're gonna do is every tick, basically we're gonna accumulate time into the current time, and then we're gonna have to have one more thing, which is if we're moving up or if we're moving down. Okay. We're gonna make one more variable like moving up. I'm moving up in the world. All right, so Boolean. Okay. And okay, so these don't need to be editable outside of us. Okay. So Boolean, moving up is going to start as true. Don't forget that, otherwise it's going to go right down into the floor at the beginning. So I'm going to default moving up to be true. Okay. All right. So I think we're ready to do this. You guys wanted this. You're going to get it. The slightly more complicated version. So what we're going to do is every tick we're going to accumulate time. So every second, we're going to add 1 to current time. Every second we add another 1 to current time. And the location that we're going to be, if the time to move is 5 seconds, then at 0 we're going to be at the very bottom, at 1 second, at 2 seconds, at 3 seconds, at 4 seconds, at 5 seconds. At 5 seconds we are going to clear it, set time to move maybe negative. Or just set moving up to be false, and then we're going to do the same thing in reverse. So we're gonna get going up working first, and then after that we'll work on getting down. Okay, so are you guys kind of following what I'm doing here? Like basically, we're gonna lerp between 2 different points. Okay, the starting location, the ending location. We're gonna use the time, the current time, to do that. So I'm going to get the current time. I'm gonna accumulate. I'm gonna add delta seconds into this. And I'm going to set current time. Okay. So it's going to start off at 0, and then after half a second it'll be at half a second. After 2 seconds it'll be at 2 seconds. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this by time to move. So U divided by time to move tells us what percentage of the way up we are. So if it's been 2.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds divided by 5 is 1/2, right? So we're halfway up. And so what we're going to do is we're going to lerp between the starting location and the ending location, with this number right here being what percentage it should be the first and what percentage it should be the second. So if it's 50%, it'll be halfway between the starting and ending locations. So we are going to get the starting location here. We are going to get the ending location here. And we are going to LARP. Okay. Just like that. And then we are going to set our world location based on this. There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now, this is going to go up, and it's going to keep going up. It's never going to go down. But again, you want to build incrementally. Okay. And really, if I was doing this for real and I wasn't running out of time, I'd be like printing strings and things like that, just to kind of see where I was at. It's like using keyframes. Exactly. Yeah. And so you have one keyframe, you have one keyframe, and you lerp between it. And I'm just doing a linear lerp. That's what the L stands for. Right, but a lot of times when you're doing animations, you're going to have splines, and you're going to have different curves that control how it blends between the two of them, and things like that. So sweep. I'm going to have to think about if I want that one on. I'm just going to leave it like this for now. Ooh, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like that. Target itself, right. Compile. Thank you. Okay. And there it goes. And it's just gonna keep going. Forever. I must go. My people need me. Right? But it worked right the first time, so yay. That's what I'd call my daughter. Yeah, Ada, say bye-bye platform. Bye-bye platform. Wait, is it not coming back? No. Oh, that makes me sad. I miss young Ada. 10-year-old Ada is like, fix it, daddy. Make the code work better. I know you can. Adios. Yeah, it's like from up. It's funny. Okay, so we got going up, working. Okay. Then we just need to make it go down properly. Okay. So we'll just add a couple branches. Okay. So if our lerp, if this value here is greater than or equal to 1, then we've hit the top, right? So if we've reached the top, the lerp value is going to be at 1 or maybe a little bit bigger, but who cares? You're talking about a centimeter. You know, I could probably clamp this to 1. Do I care? No. Okay. And then if you have a really low frame rate, you might see it pop up a little bit higher, but you know, you're talking centimeters of difference. But in reality, I'd clamp it between 0 and 1. No, I'm not going to do it. Okay. So basically what I'm going to say here, so I'm going to say if we've hit the top, then this value here, right, if it's been 5 seconds, right, if it's been 5 seconds, then 5 seconds divided by 5 seconds is 1. And if it's been 6 seconds, it's been over 1. So I'm just checking to see if it's hit the top. If it has, then I will set moving up to be false. And then in a second, I'm going to make it go down. I haven't done that yet. And then if it is not over 1, then I'm going to check to see if it's under 0. And so I'm going to have it handle the going up part. So when it hits the very bottom, the lerp alpha is going to be 0. And then I want it to flip and go back up. So if the value is less than or equal to 0, I set moving up to be true. There you go. Okay, so if we ever hit over 1, moving up is false, then it's going to start going down. When we hit the bottom, moving up is true. It's the top, moving up is false. And then there's only one thing left to do, which is to say, do we add to it or do we subtract from it? There. Branch. Why is the branch shortcut not working? It's glitching out. There we go. Okay. Oh, wow. I just made a bunch of them. Okay. One more time. Thank you. All right. So, moving up. Okay. Okay. Left a little bit. Okay. So if we're moving up, then we're going to be adding to the current time. Writing delta seconds to the current time. And if we are... Sorry, I just have to clean this up. And then if it's false, if moving up is false, that means we're moving downwards, and then we're going to instead subtract the current time. So we'll get the current time and subtract delta seconds from it. Yeah, I know. I'm not happy with it either. Okay. There. Dang it. Okay. So If we're moving upwards, then we add delta seconds to the variable. And it's going to go up and up and up. If moving up is false, then we subtract delta seconds from the variable and it goes down and down and down. And then either way, we're going to set its location to be the lerp of the current time, time to move between starting and ending location, and set its location. Probably slide everything to the left a little bit. And slide all of you to the left. And then this bit right here is just saying if you hit the top, go down. If you hit the bottom, go up. And I can almost fit that on one screen, but not quite. So I'm going to screenshot it for you in 2 bits. Actually, let me make sure it works first. That's always a good question. Okay. So there you go. It's gone up. It's gone up. And then it goes down. Ah, dang it. These grasses are kind of getting in the way. Aha, there we go. Okay. Let's go on this. And there we go. So that is how you make a moving platform. Basically, yeah, you pick a starting point, pick an ending point, and then you grab their locations, and then you lerp between them. And so you just smoothly go from 0, as you go from 0 to 1, with the alpha on the lerp, the position rises smoothly between them. If I were, and this will work even if I like move this guy off to the side, like over here somewhere, like a chairlift now, move it all the way. Have it be right at the dive board right here. A little chairlift kind of thing. Okay, so we run it now. You'll see that the platform will... Oh, it's probably getting blocked, honestly. No. Where is it? It's probably like going through the world. Yep, there it is. Oh, there. Okay, you probably want your chairlift to be above ground. There it is again. There it is. Okay. Yeah, let me move to the starting location. Did the center gun shoot out? I don't think so. I think the center gun only shoots at us. But yeah, we'll try the starting location up here. Bring it up a little bit over here. And so you can see the thing, you know, wherever we set the starting and ending location to, it will just very happily lerp back and forth between the 2 locations. I didn't set it to sweep, and that's why I was kind of first try. That's why I had it not sweep, because if it sweeps, then it'll get blocked by things. And I was like, you know, I might want it to move through, like it kind of moves through the diving board a little bit there. So it's one of those things, like you can set it or not. It kind of depends on your needs. I'm getting shot right now by the sentry guns. Look at that, taking damage. Still, you know, basically it's a pretty general purpose platform. You can just kind of set the starting and ending locations to anywhere, and it'll fly back and forth between them. And right now it'll fly right through the ground, you know, as we saw. So yeah, there you go. Mass transit system. It's a people mover. All right. Anything else to say about this? Yeah, mainly like you might want to check sweep. Yeah, otherwise I think it's pretty good. So I will screenshot this reel. Let's see how this looks like. You need a 25% target and a 50% target and 75%. Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely add, like, if you want to make this better, you can add like an array of points, and then you could set you could do something like this. You can make an array that holds like a bunch of different positions in the world, and then you can have it go between one and the other and set up waypoints and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, you could have a third point, but like you can make it much more general purpose than that and be able to click different spots in the world, and you don't have to have it just lerp. You could have it do like a hyperbolic path or something like that as well, and build a caterpillar roller coaster. Yeah, like in Mario Brothers, right? Like they have like the caterpillar things that follow like the lines on the map and things like that. And you have to like ride them through the map. Yeah, that's all. Something somewhat similar to this. Blackbird trying to eat your strawberries. I'll make the best theme park ride. Yeah, you can totally make a theme park ride, and you just have like if you want to do it this way, you just have a couple of points you just slide through, and it'd be pretty cool. I think I guess I'll add that to your homework. It's not too bad, I don't think. It'll give you a way of transiting between your map too as well. Okay, so that's it for today. I was going to talk about the board game club event. I played a brand new board game that I've never played before called Blood Rage. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it, but basically Blood Rage 2018. Your husband plays it? Nice. He's clearly got a good head on his shoulders. Yeah, quite an impressive board game, I have to say. It's a 6 foot, I think. 4-player game? No, it's a 4-player game. Yeah, and basically, you can win by dying in it, which I kind of think is hilarious. Depending on how you what's really interesting about it is there's like a drafting phase. I guess I will tell you about it. So Jared Rutledge, who's the guy who runs the board game club, is a brilliant guy. He's an epidemiologist, doctorate in epidemiology. He's also a fantastic board game person. And so he hand painted all the miniatures and all this stuff. He loves this game. And I love it now too, after having played it with him. Like the game mechanics are pretty simple actually. You can learn it pretty quickly. What starts off is there's a drafting phase. And so there's these cards that give you like attacks or special abilities or something. And you pick one and you pass the rest on to the other people. And so you can like hate draft to prevent somebody from getting something, or you just like take the things you need. And the approach the guy to the left of me was taking was his goal was to lose every combat, which is like it just makes me like giggle like that is just brilliant game design where you can just set up your people to just die. And so every time he lost a battle, he got glory for it. Because you're basically dying in Valhalla, right? And so all your army comes back to life. There's 3 turns, and it comes back to life in between turns 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. So if your whole army gets wiped out, it's not a big deal. It just comes back into your hand. You can play them again. And so he had a bunch of things like, oh, my ship died. I gain 8 glory. Oh, my leader died. I gain 3 glory. Oh, I've got 4 dead people in Valhalla. I gain 8 glory. And so he would just attack people, and then people wouldn't know if like he was trying to win or not, because some of the cards you have are attack cards, and if you play a higher attack card plus your army strength, you win, and it kills all of their guys. And so they have to play a card so that they don't accidentally lose their entire army. And then he would just die, over and over again. He would just like, and then they would explode him, and he's like, oh, I get 8 glory for this. Oh, I died again. Oh, I get 8 glory for this. And it was just really funny that that's a viable strategy in the game. My strategy mostly involved not fighting. Like I had a bunch of cards that like if I had the most people on the map in certain regions, I would get tons and tons of victory points. And so I would just like park my people in a province and just fill up the province so that nobody else could be in there, and then just not fight. I was the worst Viking ever. I'm like, we're just gonna like make a campfire here, and we're just gonna like I would take a couple attack cards and fight a couple people, but mostly my strategy was just like have my people just like hanging out. I'm like, okay. and I ended up winning the game by doing that strategy. Like I got the ability to plunder a province multiple times, and so I'd just fill up a province so nobody else can be in there, and I'd plunder it, and then I'd plunder it again, and plunder it again, and plunder it again, and I could do it like 6 times around, and just sit there, and I had all these things that comboed off of me plundering a province. Like you get double the benefits, you get this, you get this, you get this, and so I just fill up a province so nobody else could be there, and just sit there and plunder it, just like mining for gold, and like everyone else is like playing a different game than I am, and I thought it was fantastic. I am highly amused that this game, which looks like it's all about Vikings killing and dying and stuff like that. That the guy to my left, he's like, my goal is to just die every combat. I just am trying to lose every combat, and my strategy is like, you guys do your thing. I'm just gonna sit here and mine for gold and just get points every time I do it. And like I had I think I lapped the last place person. So it's 100 points to go around the board, and I had actually lapped the last place person through a non-combative strategy, mostly. I was just playing a pacifist, mostly. So, yeah, and then I proceeded to lose the next game. So, it's not like I'm bragging here. Maybe a little bit. But it was just fascinating to me that the game supports, like, very different styles of play, and it's all just based on what you draft, which is a cool mechanic, because going into it, you don't know what cards you're going to get, and so every time you play the game, you have to like think on your feet and like see what's available to you. And like if I had taken a card that says you have to have the most people in the northern provinces, and another card that comes up says you get all these victory points if you have the most points in the northern provinces, I would have to take it. Because if anybody else took it, they would compete with me to have the most people in the northern provinces. So I'd have to take it again to make sure that nobody was like trying to out-compete me for it, But then I'd get double the quest rewards because I had it twice. So, cool game, very cool game. I like games that welcome a variety of strategies. Yeah. And you can't like come into it with a strategy in mind because you might just not get the cards for it. If somebody else is drafting I'm going to lose cards, then you're going to have a hard time playing an I'm going to lose strategy because they're going to be taking it. So especially if they're sitting upstream of you. If they're downstream of you, you can take all of them. But if they're upstream of you, like you're going to be in for a rough time. So you have to like adapt on the fly and stuff like that. So, highly recommended. I give it a 9 out of 10 on Board Game Geek. It's pretty good. All right, so that is it for today. And I like talking game mechanics and stuff like that. That's good for today. So let's call it here and make a gray box level, make a moving platform, get a little bit of level design experience, and we will pick it up on Thursday. All right. Very cool, gamers. Have a crush-tastic day. Peace out.